And guys, it looks like State of Decay 2 is finally coming to an end. And no, that doesn't mean the game's disappearing, but we are no longer seeing updates past this year. Now, if you happen to not be following what's been happening with State of Decay 2 and 3, well, the past few years, I think updates have been a lot slower in years past. And that's because full attention has mostly been on State of Decay 3. But despite this game being released back in 2018, we have still had major content updates going just 2 months ago, and that's really unheard of to see a game that's AA quality get updates for this long. Now with that, they mentioned one final update, which is update 38, and this is going to fix, according to Undead Labs, long-standing issues, implement additional quality of life improvements, and permanently unlock seasonal or otherwise previously gated content such as winter outfits, the wizard van, and a lot more. Now for more context on when we can actually see this update, as someone who's really been following this studio for a couple of years now, they always take off almost always all of December for the holidays. So that leaves essentially from now until the end of November as to when we'll see this final update. Now it's possible the very first week of December they're still running against the clock and we might see it as late as that, but I kind of doubt it. I do expect to see it by November. So we have about a 3-month window. They've also mentioned in this blog post that they've poured their hearts into making the experience the best it can be. Spurred by your belief in us, every update addressed your wish list request, it fixed bugs and quality of life improvements. We love making the game you love to play, and we know you love this world we've created and the amazing community that you've helped build. While you've enjoyed State of Decay 2 for many years, you've heard that we are also hard at work on the next evolution of the franchise, and our ambition is to make the greatest zombie survival sim in the franchise. And for Undead Labs to actually accomplish this, they say that they are shifting their focus and resources to State of Decay 3. Now they actually listed a whole section of FAQs, and one question here is, does this mean that the game is ending and it won't be available? They go on to say that no, it will still be playable if you own the game or if you have Game Pass. And another part here is asking if they are sunsetting the game, and it says that we are stopping content development and developer support, but the game will remain available on all existing platforms and for all owners. They also go on to mention if you have any bugs that you find, which I'm guessing this game is still going to have a crap ton of bugs here going forward, that even after this last update, they say that they will be closing the support system, and if you have anything major, contact Xbox. They also went on to mention for any preferred feature or bug fixes requests that you still might have to this day, they go on to say we listen to your feedback on support tickets and the wish list, but we can't get to every suggestion. Rather, our goal is to implement those changes and fixes and help most players in an effort to make the game stable and fun for years to come. So eventually, any more wishes you guys have had for this game outside of the very last update more than likely will not be happening, so just kind of keep that in mind now going forward. Now further, they say that any previous seasonal content like Halloween mask, winter themed cosmetics will be lootable in the world after the final update. And as I mentioned earlier in this video, that final update is again coming later this year. Now the $100 million question every single one of us has, and this is my number one question. It's actually been addressed here, but we didn't get the answer we want. And that question is, when is State of Decay 3 coming out? Sadly, they go on to say that we'll have more information to share on the game and its release at a later time. And I actually have a lot to say on this, guys, but we'll save that for the next video. Make sure you're subscribed because there's really a lot to talk about there, and I have a really good prediction, really good guess. You're going to want to stay tuned for that. Now, another thing I found was someone on X posted about unlocking all the Daybreak items for players, and the response was, we'll see what we can do. So just wanted to highlight that very quickly. Now, one final thing I want to mention, if you guys haven't been following the updates the past few years, most of the teams actually been working on State of Decay 3 fully, not State of Decay 2. It's actually been a team called Wushu that's been working on the recent State of Decay 2 updates. Now, there was no mention of them in this blog post, and maybe there was still a person or two working from Undead Labs still working alongside them, but I don't think so. I think it was fully Wushu. But I do want to give a shout out to that team for the the awesome job they did on these updates and bringing some new innovation to this game that I really never expected to see so late in its life cycle. I mean, who the heck thought of curveballs? That is a pretty nuts feature, and a lot of people who don't follow this game as closely as I do were really under the impression that Undead Labs was wasting resources and focusing on updates for such an older game and not putting in all their effort on State of Decay 3, but they weren't actually messing with this game. There was a whole separate team, and Undead Labs has really just been going hard on State of Decay 3 for quite a few years now, and it's been Xbox who's actually been paying for this team to kind of keep the updates rolling and keep the game alive. And the reason they were doing that, and this is completely and utterly my opinion, is that they wanted to keep this franchise really relevant as long as they could to keep that hype train going, because obviously we have a big game in State of Decay 3 releasing, and that's going to be its own beast. So I just wanted to give you guys context if you guys haven't been following what's been going on. But there you have it, guys. State of Decay 2 is finally coming to an end, and it has been a wild ride. I played this game when it first released, and when it first launched, I enjoyed it, but I gotta say it was a little bit unforgettable. Not only that, at the time I was going through some really bad health issues, and I just couldn't focus and enjoy the game as much as I wanted to. So then I came back in 2021 for update 25. So I missed 25 updates, so I wasn't around for the entire ride. But even in the amount of time that I've played since 2021, I've seen this game evolved from changing so much from the plague territories that made this game so insane and dangerous and gave it just a unique sense of danger that I've never seen in another game. And I've never seen anything like it in another post-apocalyptic sandbox game like this. And that update is why I actually got super hooked on this game, and guys, I decided to start making content. Then comes in the forever communities and the curveballs, including the biggest update, which was bringing Trumbull Valley back into the fold and all the stories there, and it's been an incredible ride to say the least. And keep in mind, they were working on State of Decay 3 going as far back as 2020. Even before that, I've seen reports of them really in 2019, though everything back then was more in like concept phases. And again, this is a studio that came from just humble beginnings, basically an indie dev team that made that original State of Decay game, and now it's fully evolved into a full-fledged AAA studio with some really big ambitions that we'll finally get to see come to fruition in State of Decay 3. But State of Decay 2 for me has been the best post-apocalyptic sandbox PvE game that I've gotten to enjoy, and if you go back all 37 updates we've had, just looking at even the stuff that I've missed, I'm not sure that you can find a game that has evolved so much from start to finish like this one has. And it isn't an MMO or an MMORPG, but it's mostly a single player game, which makes it really crazy that it's evolved so much. Now, I actually personally got to hang out with Undead Labs back in June when they unveiled State of Decay 3, and getting to talk to them, they obviously talked a lot about State of Decay 2, and they mentioned how it was probably going to end here at some point. But let me say, guys, when they talk about this game, you can really see the love in their eyes, and you can really see the passion they've had for this game that they've created. And honestly, guys, high expectations and hard work is fully being at play here for the next game, and I'm going to be expecting big things for State of Decay 3. But State of Decay 2 is one of my favorite games of all time, and the 700 plus hours my Steam page tells me that I've played in this game validates that, and it's been an amazing wild ride, and I say bring on the next game because I think it's only going to go up from here. But with that, guys, I do actually have some confessions to make, and I'm pretty embarrassed by these to mention it, but I'm not going to hold back on this channel. I'm always going to be honest with you in any way, shape, or form I can be. I mean, I'm always going to be honest. There's actually a lot left for me to play in this game. I haven't even played Heartland yet, and I have a good reason for that, and I haven't finished the Trumbull Valley stories. I was almost done, though. I was almost done. It was real life took over at that time, but I was almost done with it. And the reason really is because we are planning to make content here on this channel. Me and my little team here, we're gonna make content of me playing and checking all that stuff out while we of course are waiting for State of Decay 3. So while they unlock all the other older stuff that has been passed over time that I've missed in maybe those 25 updates here in the coming months, I still think there's plenty left to play while we wait for the next game, and I'm here to put in a few more 100 hours on the road to State of Decay 3, which I am highly excited for, and I really think you guys should be too.